You're gonna face pressure. You're gonna face storms. You're gonna face suffering. Live in harmony with each other. But it's a lot of other parts coming together in harmony. It's a picture of what it looks like in our faith to walk with one another.
It's not what you do for a living. It ain't how much you make. It ain't none of that. It's simply how you think. If you change your thought, you change everything. You change your attitude, you change your altitude. It's all that. It's the law of attraction. Your attitude is everything. That's what money ain't everything, but it's very helpful. It ain't everything, but it's a lot.
A seed is a tree, but it must become the tree. And that's the way you are right now. You are a great woman, an awesome man, but you must become. It is my passion, my hope, my anchor, that no human being die until they are manifested. Let's meet you before you go. Let the world see who you really are before you leave us. Show us yourself. Show yourself.
What is your ultimate destiny and your goals? God will never give you something somebody else is supposed to have. So all while you're consumed and focused on somebody else's career, how much they got in their account, their moves, their blessings, and their opportunities, your own career, your own focus, your own path is being further dumped in the back seat. God didn't bring you in this world to be focused on what everybody else is doing.
You have a choice. Your mind has to listen to you. Part of your will is to bring your mind into order. Now, the reason why most people are ineffective in life and actually fail at life is because they've never learned how to fight the battle of the mind.
Happiness is both a grasp of the obvious as well as an awe of the mysterious. But for most people around us, happiness seems to be either something left behind or something yet to be discovered. Like all the good things in life, happiness is elusive by nature, but not impossible to capture. If there is a magic word that stands out above all the rest, this is the one: discipline.
A lack of self-discipline is a lack of knowing what you want in life. And when you don't know what you want, you won't have any self-discipline power to get there. Self-discipline makes consistency possible, and consistency compounds. It always has, and it always will.
In difficult times, it's tempting to get sour. Joel, I was doing the right thing. Had this bad break. This setback came out of nowhere. Put your foot down and say, I refuse to go through life with a bad attitude. I am not going to let what happened to me, who did me wrong, what I didn't get, keep me from becoming all I was created to be. Too often, we're holding on to the hurts, disappointments, the things we don't understand. That poisons our attitude. You have to let it go. This is a new day.
There are a lot of people that don't understand the power of laughter and the power of being joyful and deliberately feeling good. Does it mean that I don't have any challenges? Yes, I do. Stuff's happened to people that I care about.
We're so tempted to run somebody else's race. We're so tempted to do it like somebody else did it, but you don't get grace for somebody else's call. The older I get, the more and more I am convinced that people are borderline obsessed with what's next. And don't get me wrong, I think it's important that you have a vision for your life, and I think it's important that you have an idea of where you're headed, but if you're not careful, you'll get so obsessed with what's next that you'll miss out on what is right now. It doesn't take a lot of us to realize, like, if you're graduating from high school right now, everyone's going, where are you going to college? If you're in college, everyone's like, where are you going to work? I'm like, when are you going to shut up?
Have you ever noticed how the way we explain something after the event has transpired is often much different than how we experienced it? We say after we've experienced something that, well, it all turned out for the good, but you weren't so sure about that. during the divorce, but now after the divorce, you can say, okay, well, I didn't want the divorce, and I'm not saying the divorce was God's will, but I can see how God's even using that now in my life. But when you're going through it, it feels like death, and you can't even see any life after this.
We have to take control of our thoughts. We have to scratch the negative ones when they come in and replace them with great ones. Now, I don't believe self-talk works all the time, but I believe saying I am strong, I am good, I intend, I'm a good man, my intentions are pure, I make a difference in the world, I'm kind, I'm gentle, I'm generous. Beginning to repeat these thoughts to myself, and these words do generate self-confidence. I keep the promises I make to myself. I'm a man of my word.
Many of us choose an active living death. Many of us are walking dead, that we're not doing what we want to do. Many of us stay in relationships where we're dying together rather than growing and expanding and living together. We're miserable, but because we don't have the courage to see ourselves beyond that relationship that has turned toxic, we go through life living dead people.
I know it's easy to get glued to the internet, glued to social media, get glued to the TV, but if you fill your mind with constant images of negative news, and they're just saying the same thing over and over, it's going to deplete your reserves, it's going to raise your stress level.
When you decide, I have had enough, a leader is about to be born. Toleration is the graveyard of leaders. And that's why we lack leadership in the 21st century. Everybody wants to be liked. Nobody wants to rock the boat. And that's why we're not leaders, because we want everyone to agree with us.
Before you're going to have peace, you're going to have to make some decisions about some things. And the first decision you have to make is, I am unwilling to live without peace. I will not live without peace. You see, I spent way too much of my life in turmoil. And maybe 15 years ago, I made a decision that I was going to have peace, and I was going to have joy, and I was going to have righteousness. That I was not going to spend the rest of my life feeling guilty every time I made some little minor mistake.
I want you to honor both yourself, and I want you to honor her, and I want you to just keep going. If what you actually need is to pause and to just take a break from school for a little bit so you can take care of yourself, that's very different than quitting. That's giving yourself what you need while being responsible for this dream that you better not give up on.
Begin to talk to yourself and think these thoughts. When you combine your brain and your body, you scratch the self-doubt. You lose those 4 stupid beliefs. I am my accomplishments. I am my possessions. I am what other people say I am. Or I am what I look like. These are completely flawed beliefs. We scratch those. We scratch them. We understand the process of stacking self-confidence in our life. We know we are the content of our character.
It's not that easy as dropping out of law school. You've always wanted this. You've always worked for this. You've dreamt about this forever. And it's not going to leave you. That's why we say your dreams are kind of in the back of your mind. So you don't have a choice about this. So you got to take care of the fact that you're grieving, and that's like riding waves of emotion.
I'm more creative today than I would have been if I'd have had those files. I test more than I would have been, because what? That was a crutch to me. I was holding on to what I knew instead of letting go so I could grab hold of what I could become. So that's a huge word right now. Just be testing. It's going to make you the person you need to be during this time. You know, testing says that there's a better way, and failing says, I haven't found that way. Failing tells you that, I haven't found that way, but it also tells you getting closer to find that way.
That storm that you're in, it seems like that storm is enveloping the whole world. Hard to see out of that storm. It's hard to see past it. It seems like the storm is everything. You can get out of the storm, and you will get out of the storm. But right now, you're being tried. You're being forged. You're being tested by fire and by pain. Don't fail the test.
Now listen to me. I don't care if you're sick.
I don't care what you're going through. If you're not dead, he ain't through with you yet. As long as you waking up, you still in the game. You can still make it happen. As long as that breath in your nostrils move, you still in the game. You still can win. Now get your butt up.
You need to change your mind because some of you are thinking about giving up because you're in a season of failure. But just because you failed doesn't mean that God doesn't have a bright future in store for you. It is always too soon to quit.
This is not the time to throw in the towel. This is not the time to give up. It's the time to trust God more, to dig in deeper.
The joy is not in the success. The joy is in trying. The joy is in the process. That I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep going at it. See, failure is forming my future. Failure is just another peg in the ladder for me to go higher. I don't want to just know how to make it work. I want to know why it doesn't work. And the only way I can find that out is I got to fall on my face.
And if God be for us, who can be against us? There's nothing in this world that can defeat us if God is for us. It is impossible to have victory and think bondage. It's impossible to be happy and think sadness and depression.
And if you're not careful, you will allow situations in this life to cloud your perspective. And you will allow moments in this life to take away the hopes and the dreams of tomorrow. Failure is not final, it's formative. It's part of the journey. How are you going to learn if you don't ever fail? Failure is fuel for your future. Failure is a part of your story. The only time you fail is the last time you try. You need to get the right perspective on it, because this failure, it will not end in death, but this failure is a part of you being formed.
I'm telling you, it's possible to be weak. It's possible to feel overwhelmed, outnumbered, out-resourced. It's possible to feel discouraged. It's possible to be going through something that you've never gone through. And if you were to be honest, would say, I am weak this day, yet I'm still anointed.
I want to encourage somebody out there who's thinking about quitting and giving up. Somebody who has been praying for years for things to turn around. You're thinking about quitting. You're thinking about getting up. You are caving in. This is for you.
When I'm discouraged, I need somebody to come alongside me to encourage me that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That kind of talk wakes up my faith. It stirs my faith to know that no matter how dark my situation, God can work it out.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Stay in it. Stay focused.
The biggest single obstacle standing in your way to success is not lack of education, it's not lack of background, it's not lack of money, it's lack of belief in yourself. I believe the most important thing to winning is you. It's what kind of person you are, what kind of husband you are, what kind of wife you are, what kind of dad you are, what kind of mom you are, what kind of example you are. See, folks, you are it. You are everything. The most important thing to winning is your attitude about you. It's your attitude about life. Positive thinkers win, and negative thinkers lose. Whatever you expect to happen with confidence happens.
The fundamental key to success is what you believe.
love what you do. You don't have to love what you do. You got to get addicted to what you do. You got to be addicted to winning.
You got to cross the line in life. If you really want to make it and you ain't got a bunch of money and you're not born rich, you got to cross the line. You got to go where nobody else wants to go. You got to work the hours nobody else wants the hours. You got to put in 18-hour days sometimes. You got to go further than the average guy next to you.